gotta say, it gave me such pride and joy when the trampoline came on the screen.
Everybody applauded.
They knew.
Now, it didn't give it to you the way you'd expect, but the other version exists.
Yeah. Eli, so, what is wrong with you?
When you say that, it should be like, thank you. No, look, I love slasher movies. I love them. I love them so fucking much, especially holiday slashers. You know, where I grew up, you know, it was obviously Halloween, Black Christmas, My Bloody Valentine, April Fool's Day, Mother's Day, and then the classic slashers, The Prowler, you know, Happy Birthday to Me, anything. You know, I love Maniac, Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, just any of these films that start with the POV, that have the identifying Chiron, and of course Pieces is probably my all-time it's just, and Jeff and I grew up in Massachusetts, and it's the biggest, Thanksgiving is the biggest deal. There's ramp down your throat as a kid. There's a school play, there's 2 different recreation villages. So you'd be there as a kid and they're like, we are the Pilgrims, there's a television. And then you'd be like, you're like, you don't watch TV? They're like, we've never heard of a television. And you're like, did you see the Celtics blow that game last night? TJ was the favorite. Like, but then we see like, we should have the butter. And all the other thing goes, man, what if you threw someone in a butter churner? You know, Jeff and I were there going, how has nobody made a horror movie out of Thanksgiving? To us, it was the most obvious one, the Killer Pilgrim. So this, like, when we were 12 and 13, we just started thinking of different deaths. Like, you could roast a human turkey, or what if there's a turkey and you cut the head off? The guy in the turkey suit, he runs around like a turkey and takes that off. It's amazing to see the real movie theater in the audience. That's incredible.
So you've literally been carrying this for like 30 plus years, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
and Jeff, so Jeff was your childhood friend. So, and to be clear, so you lived. So you grew up in Newton, which is about 40 minutes away from Plymouth. Yeah. Did and as you were thinking about this, were you like, man, fuck Plymouth, we gotta get one against these guys? Was there any of that as you were writing, or sorry, as you were thinking about this as a kid?
No, it was all about skewering the holiday. I mean, that was the whole fun, was like just hanging the slasher on the holiday. And, you know, when obviously Quentin and Robert approached me to do a trailer for Grindhouse, I was like, oh my God, we had them all to death. So obviously, that was within the context of Grindhouse. You're thinking of, like, this has to be, like, the most vile film ever made. So that was the most fun part, was we didn't have to think of a plot. You could just think of the most disgusting, inappropriate things and see if anyone would stop you from filming it. We added 2 days on to the end of Hostel 2, and where's Mike McCarty? Shout out to Mike McCarty. McCarty, stand up, wave your hands, I can't see. Who McCarty is based on, created the human turkey. For the person who did all the effects. And
please leave the theater right now.
I love him, McCarty.
Wait, so is that coming on the trailer?
Yeah, he's going to get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah. Okay, it's you.
Yeah, that is mine. So we did that. We added 2 days. He was on Hostel 2. We added 2 days on to the end of the shoot, and we shot it, and we had the best time because it was just like there were no rules. It was like, you know, film school. We were just fucking around and having fun. And then we almost got trapped by the trailer because we tried to write it for years after that. And we just found ourselves writing the boring scenes between the kills. And we were like, well, how can you impale her on a trampoline and then roast it? Like, it's something we're not writing a real movie. We're just filling out the trailer. And kind of the creative breakthrough we had was we said, like, what if we just pretend Thanksgiving 1980 is a real movie, and the day it was released, every print was destroyed. It was just burned. It was so offensive. The only thing that survived was the trailer on the darkest corners of the internet. One person, you know, uploaded it on 4chan. And this is the 2023 reboot of what that movie was. And there's no record of anything else. And that sort of freed us up creatively to just tell a good story. So the intention was always to make a real slasher film, albeit even if it goes ridiculous at times. And then once it was really seeing the Black Friday trampolines that got us going, that's the inciting incident. Once we saw all those YouTube videos that started appearing of like the gates going up and people crushing each other for televisions and waffle irons, we thought, you know, a whole bunch of people get maimed, and then cut to, you know, a certain amount of time later, and all the people connected to the trampoline were getting picked up.
Because as crazy as that opening is, and it is, I mean, I was shocked, because it's like you're killing, in the trailer, James out, but you kill him right out the gate. But as you're watching this, you're like, this is completely absurd, it's completely insane. But at the same time, that shit was like, I mean, not as viscerally, but like that shit was happening. Like, people were literally like storming the gates and climbing over each other.
They were, and ripping out each other's weaves. I mean, those things get violent. But the reactions were great. My God, you know, did you guys like that opening? It was fun.
Yeah!
I want to be in a horror movie. And I was like, yeah. Oh, by the way, like, if you're filming this, please don't upload this until after the movie. I don't want the spoilers out.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No spoilers.
Like, yeah, like, it's cool if you film it, but just wait until we, after, we
Especially right there.
So yeah, Gina called me, she's like, when are you gonna put me in a horror movie? And we were casting Amanda, and I was like, well, Gina, I actually have a great role. It's a small one, but it's a juicy one. And I'm gonna do like a memorable death, because it's gotta be someone that you're like, don't expect to see that happen to, and then, you know, it's gotta propel, you know, someone would be killing, believable that someone would go on a rampage for her. And she was great. She had never been killed in a horror movie. She had so much fun.
But also the fact that you killed Roth early was kind of like, okay, no one is safe now. There's almost a cycle.
Yeah, once you kill Gina, then it's like anybody can go. And that's what I loved about having such a great cast. I mean, Nell Verlaque was a discovery. She only did this one Disney show called Big Shot, but she'd gone to performing arts. She's like a theater-trained New York actor. Her father's an actor and an acting teacher. She like grew up in New York theater and is a complete discovery. You know, there were a lot of girls that wanted that role. And, you know, one of the things about not casting in person, I would always prefer to cast in person, but everyone was still doing these tapes, and I missed it. Like, I totally missed her audition. I was looking at 500 auditions within 2 days, and it was Jeff who, like, stayed up all night. He's like, why are we not looking at Nell again? And I was like, who? And I looked back at her, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So she's every quality we're looking for. She's like a young Julia Roberts, but she's so natural, and just, you believe her, and she's likable. And I actually thought she would pair really well with Addison Rae, who really wanted to be in it. And Addison obviously is so incredibly famous, but since I don't have TikTok, I knew she was, I had never seen her before. I was like, I know that girl is, I think, but so I was just judging her on her acting, and she's really wants to, you know, is very serious about acting. And they were actually a great balance. And then Jenna Warren, I had done a VR short for Meta called Trick or Treat, and Jenna was in that, as was the kid Dorian, who was the thing with the abs. But then other people, you just, you know, I would say making movies is a faith-based system. You just have to have faith it's gonna fucking work out, because you don't know. And so much of a slasher film depends on, you know, the balance of the kids and who's likable and who can be a good suspect. And, you know, Jalen Thomas Brooks I thought was really fantastic, and a very different type from Milo Manheim. So she goes from one guy to the other. And they were, you know, Milo I've known his mom for a long time, and Milo has always done the Disney Zombies movies. And I was like, do you want to come to, basically I was like, guys, we're doing this low budget, we're going fast and furious, and we'll shoot it in, you know, 30 days, but you'll have the fucking time of your life. We're doing some really fast shit. That riot scene was, the whole thing from the moment they arrived in the car through the gunshot was 4 nights. So it was like 2 nights outside, 2 nights inside. So it was kind of all the skills I ever had, from directing to plan and prep. And I had a really fantastic director named Justin Harding, who shot some episodes of my show on a museum, helping me, and she was second unit for me, kind of stepped in to do that. So, you know, getting little pieces and little details. You know, we do 100 takes of corn sliding.
The whole production is insane, because the film only got greenlit earlier this year, right? So you would just...
No, it was Thanksgiving of last year. And I said, can you have this ready for next year? And I said, we can't. This was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I said, we can have it ready if we start Monday. Now, I had kind of prepped this movie a couple of times and it had fallen apart, and the summer before, I actually went with Jeff Rundell to Canada and Toronto. We had already scouted, so we scouted 3 locations. So I was like, I've already found the high school, I've already found the town, I've like got a lot done, but you know, we need to start Monday. And they said, yeah, let's go. So we started casting, and then the first person who reached out was Patrick Dempsey's agent. And it was, yeah, great, give it for Patrick.
Because we know him, right? I mean, like, he's McDreamy. He's absolutely like all of a sudden he's chopping off heads.
Yeah, I know, it's beautiful. That's a spoiler I want to keep in the inner circle of trust here. Patrick is an amazing actor. He's one of those guys, like Keanu Reeves, who's been famous since the 80s, and it's for a reason. So I was in high school when Can't Buy Me Love came out, so I was like a fan of his, and his agent called me and I was like, please don't tease me. No, Patrick wants to do a horror movie, and he doesn't care that it's low budget. He's into it. And then I found out that his like 2 16-year-old sons and the teenage boys are the ones that were like, Dad, horror movies are awesome. Like, it was like Kate Blanchett's son. It was like, Mom, we gotta work with Eli Roth. Like, talks like that. I'm like, So it's always the kids. The parents are like, really? They want to be, they want their kids to get help. No, but Patrick had always wanted, he was just done with romantic comedies and stuff. And then we started talking. I was like, yeah, I grew up in Boston. He's like, well, I grew up in Maine, in Lewiston. And do you want me to use my natural accent? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I like the New England accent, more like that. Maine. He goes, that's my accent. Everything you've heard in a movie is me pretending to not have my accent.
Oh, wow.
Like, this will be the first movie ever that shows how I really talk. Even out of me, when I was a kid, you'll never get hired for a job if you have that stupid New England accent. So Can't Buy Me Love, that's like me really trying to lose my accent. But this is I'm talking like how I grew up and all the guys I grew up with. So it was great. Like, the thing is when Boston people and New England people get around and someone's got an accent. So like, then we're auditioning and this woman, Amanda Baca, comes in. She's like, the Joy Calamat! I was like, how the fuck do you do that so good? She's like, because I'm from Hanover. She's like, not only am I from Hanover, I'm fucking Joy Carver's my relative. Actual descendant of Joy Carver. Joy Carver, when Jeff was writing, when Jeff really did all the work, the police work and everything, figuring out how all the technical shit would work and plotting the whole movie. And in doing his research, he's like, the first governor of New Plymouth Colony, the guy who was on the Mayflower, is named John Carver. So it's like when God hands you I mean, John Carver, is that not the greatest slasher name? So, it all started coming together. It just felt right. And then this kid, Mika Amundsen, he reads Milani, he's like, yeah, fuck you mom, fuck you dog, fuck you. I'm like, you're from Toronto. He's like, yeah. I'm like, how do you do that so good? He's like, well, I've watched The Departed 6 times. You don't understand. He's like, my whole life, all I ever wanted was to be in one of those Boston movies, like The Town or Blue Dog City. And I just watched them over and over, learning the accent in case I ever get casted. So everybody, and then Shay, who played the cheerleader, everybody was great. They had wicked accents. So, we just dialed it up. It was so much fun. I grew up with that, so I've always wanted to see those dickheads in a horror movie. Big deal with the slasher. Then Tim Daly was got the rough Long Island, fucking accent. It was so fun. So.
You talk about this, but it's a combination of everything. It's been 10 years. Just crazy. It's been 10 years since we Inferno. But you snapped right back into the horror director mode, right? Did it just feel right? Really comfortable?
It did. And I had Milan Khadema, my DP, who shot Hostel 1 and 2 and the original trailer for Grindhouse. Yeah, we bought Milan. He's amazing. He actually came over on Borderlands. I had a DP, Rogier Stofers, who did Deathwish and House of Apocalypse Walls and Borderlands. And Milan came and shot second unit on Borderlands, and we reconnected. And I just thought, I love Rogier, but it just felt right. Milan and I had such a great time. I wanted to recreate that magic of Hostel 1 and that feeling where your backs are against the wall and you have to get this fucking scene or your career's over, and if this doesn't work, you're fucked. There's something about that gun to your head kind of pressure that I think does create diamonds and makes you not overthink it and makes you super plan it but make snap decisions. And this was the coldest shoot I've ever been in. You can see at the ending, that warehouse was so freezing, that location. The actors' faces were freezing, they couldn't say their lines and shivering. It's all very real, but that's what we love. I wanted that. We watched so many movies. Fulci's House by the Cemetery, which is the fall. Yeah, Massachusetts movie. Obviously Mother's Day, The Prowler, but also we had weird influences in there. You know, like when we watched films, I watched Jean-Jacques Bayonet's Diva. I was like, every minor, there's no minor characters. Every character in that movie is fucking cool. The guy with the bats, and then for the diner, he's like, well, do you want it to look like this? I was like, no, look at the diner with 5 easy pieces. Look at the colors, it's bright, it's beautiful. Like, look at that photography. And the actors were like, what movie should I watch? What horror movie? And I told them to watch Sorcerer, because I didn't want anyone to play. And they were like, fuck. And then the girls were like, what should I watch? I was like, watch Betty Blue. Look at Beatrice Dahl. She was 21. What's your excuse? They're like, okay. I was like, that's the level of acting I'm expecting from all of you, is Beatrice Dahl and Betty Blue. So go watch that movie. And then Nell Verlac, I was like, watch Mute Witness. Anthony Wald. We went to a 35 screening of Mute Witness before. I don't know if you guys have rewatched it. It's fucking brilliant, especially the first hour. I was like, look at this lead actress. Every decision she makes, the whole movie is on her face and her eyes, that whole cat and mouse in the film studio. So those were, you know, obviously other than Scream, they were obvious influences. Mute Witness was a huge influence on me. I love that movie.
We say a nice kind of, and I said in a fun display, we say a nice competition on the set. So all these A-balls kind of bringing their A game and setting up for this.
You know, I had a thing where I've had actors compete on set and it turns ugly. And so one thing that I told the cast is, I was like, you all have to be best friends. And everyone's here, we're all fucking equal, we're all working together. If one person is having a down day, you pick them up. And if they shine in the scene, you shine in the scene. And you make them, your job is when another actor is acting is to make them look good. And that is how we all win, because the chemistry was so fucking real between all of them. And everyone was supporting it. If someone else nails a joke, then they're gonna do that same for you. So you have to be generous and you have to be there on camera. And they were so excited. They were all like showing up to set when they weren't shooting. I gave everybody like DV cams, like Blair Witch style, like I found 1999 DV cams so that they could all kind of shoot their own diaries, because I didn't want them shooting it on a phone or a 4K. I wanted it to have the like late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic. And they fucking loved it. They're like shooting on tape, and we get the tapes and batteries. It's like for the home video release, there'll be like a diary that they did. But they were all there, so I was like, I want you all to have a great experience. And if you're not shooting, you're welcome. But if you're here on a day you're not shooting, you're documenting, like you're shooting behind the scenes. So I want you use this as, no one's getting paid, so everyone uses this as an opportunity to learn, and we're all gonna shine, everyone's gonna be great. And that's one of the things that even Jacob, Jordan Poole, who's like a young Steve Buscemi, he's so funny, and McCarty, Joe Delphin, these guys, it was great, because McCarty's like, he was bartending, he was like, everybody come into my bar. Like, I was like, you're really getting the high school kids drunk. And then Tommaso, who plays Evan, is 18. It was his first movie where his mom wasn't on set. Even though he looks 24, he's the only one who's 18, and he was in college. He's like, I have a final that night. And then Jalen was like, dude, I'll write your paper for you. He's like 10 pineapples and 4 bananas. Jalen was like, so I was like, this is like Evan trying to get the kid to write his paper for him. So it was fun. They were all having so much fun. It was like summer camp. And then you have the veteran actors like Rick Hoffman, who's fucking brilliant on students, obviously. Yeah, they're red. In hospital, we hadn't worked together since then, but we stayed friends. Wow. And obviously he's had phenomenal success with Suits. It's, you know, being the most famous show in the world. So he came in because he lives in the Toronto area now, after working on Suits for so long, and he was so funny and so great. And he's like, honestly, I haven't had this. And Patrick said the same thing in Gina. They're like, the energy these kids are bringing to the set reminds me of when I was 20 and starting out. They're not jaded yet. They want to be there. They're having fun. No one's sitting in their trailers. Nobody was complaining the entire movie. Everyone was like hanging out, being friends. Like, I remember we're shooting the scene where it was the dinner, and I came back and like Jacob, Jordan Poole, like he'd gone home to Nova Scotia and then flew back, and Nico was there with his guitar. Like, they were hanging out and like singing songs, and I mean, it was that kind of a vibe. And then they go out and scream and, you know, being tortured to death. But it was incredible. Everyone's like, you know, it was a great mix of veteran actors, and someone like Karen Cleese, she's been in Saw 6 and been, you know, doing a lot of roles in smaller things, but then she came in and did that oven scene and was just so happy to be there. We loved her. So it was one of those magical sets. It never would have worked if if we didn't have the cast that we did. And to any of you that are filmmakers out there, there's not a person in this cast I wouldn't recommend going after casting or putting in, especially Gabriel Davenport, who plays Scuba. It was fucking incredible. Like, you know, he was just so happy to be here. And like yesterday, they put out on Sony like his little. They made these like personal thoughts. Like, I'm Gabriel Davenport, I play Scuba. That was on Instagram, and he's like. And then we made a video game. You guys played a video game, SurviveThanksgiving.com. It's a mobile game, and I had to put all the actors in the game. Like, I didn't tell them I did it as a surprise. And I was like, this is like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Like, they're so appreciative, and they're so happy. And I think it comes up. I mean, I can see you guys enjoying it. You know, like, you don't want those scenes between the kills to be boring. I'd like to have humor so that, you know, with that cast, really do it.
The film really moves, it's got tempo, and it's really interesting because normally you either play for laughs, or you play for the kills, or the scares. This has actually got all three. Like, there are legit jump scares, and I was sat at the back of the room just watching the audience and stuff. So there's moments when Carver like just appears, and people are like, yeah, people are like shocked. Then there's like Dewey the cat, which got a huge. But like, how did you find that balance between the comedy and the horror, bringing those together and not taking the balance either way?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, look, the kills. First of all, that cat was the cat in Pet Sematary. This is like fucking. I got Leonardo DiCaprio. Fucking good. It's like, can you look into the kitchen as if the killer's there and the cat's like. Wow! Fucking nailing it! It was great. You know, look, I think it's my personality. In my mind, you should all know this. When I set out to make a movie, it's going to be a normal movie. I totally, in my head, think, oh, this will be like a classic scary movie. Not that I think I'm making The Shining, but like, or maybe Scream or Friday the 13th, like it'll be a regular film. But my taste is just so weird. And I lean towards the ridiculous that I just can't fucking help myself. I always want to, it's like, drives me crazy in a movie when someone gets killed and they have a pet. Because I worry about the pet. And I worry about the dog. And I can't enjoy the rest of the movie unless I know someone's gonna feed the cat. You know, it's a pretend cat. It's not really that person's cat, and the cat has a trainer, and it's not real, but who's gonna feed the cat? And probably started with Alien, why do you fuck everyone? Well, I don't know what Jones is gonna survive. That was it. So when we kill him, I was just like, he's got to feed the cat. Where the killer kills somebody and then feeds the cat. Because John Carver doesn't kill anyone that's not connected to it. So why would he let the cat starve? So that's the moment that I think the audience gets on Carver's side. They're like, ah, fuck everybody. But yeah, when you're doing a scene, look, we wanted, you know, Lizzie's death to be spectacular. Because, well, first, the beginning, you know, the guy running, you know, Nick Reynolds, who's also in my VR short, I was like, you have a spot where you're going to run through and you're going to be bleeding out and run through the waffle. And it was just so ridiculous that he dies and the woman just grabs the waffle. There's something so horrible and real about it. And then Gina's scalp, I mean, obviously there's, you know, Doug getting crushed and Bobby's arm. But that first scene with Amanda, we thought, like, well, he can't just shoot her. So we got to do the Dario Argento, you know, the glint on the razor and the slash. But what if he puts his face on the freezer, just sticks her there, and then he can just take his time, and then she's gonna rip her face off. So then she goes and hides. I'm like, well, she would try to call the police, but she couldn't do it if she had her fingers there. And then she tried to do facial, you know, my brain just goes there. So then when, you know, she runs into the dumpster, even though it doesn't logically make sense, it's just so fun. To watch her get, you know, chopped in half like that. And, you know, you have Adrienne Moreau, who's a brilliant makeup effects artist, and a Toronto artist named Steve Newberg, who applied artist, helping us out. So, then we knew we needed the body cut in half to put on the side. So the first two deaths are absurd because he just stabs him with an electric carving knife, turns it on, and then garrots the head, pops it off, and then feeds the cat. So by that time, you're thinking, I like John Carver. The kills are fun. This is going to be creative. And then it starts to happen to the people we like. And then you're like, oh, this is fucked up. And then he, fucking kills Yulia, and you're like, oh shit. No one's gonna get spared. Like, it's not fun anymore. So then we're at the table, we're really like, no, don't do this to Evan. Even though Evan, he kind of deserves it. It's fucking horrible. And then it's like, well, that's the first one. What's gonna happen to the rest of it? So that's the fun, is that I use humor to kind of disarm the audience a little bit. So everybody jumps when he comes and grabs Gabby and Evan in the school and when he's chasing Jessica. And look, when you're shooting, you write the scenes, then you go and find the locations. And this high school that we were at, I was walking around and I'm like, what's that? They're like, oh, that's the cosmetology room. Like an auto shop in a gym. Like, what do you mean the cosmetology room? They're like, yeah, the cosmetology room. Kids are like learning how to be, cut hair and do makeup and stuff. They don't go to college. They learn it here and then just go to work. And I was like, that's crazy. There's a room full of 100 fake heads. How can we not? Do an E.T. hiding in the closet. So we wrote it. So I had them having their discussion in that room. And you write it. You see these incredible things, and you just write it in the script. Like that barn where he was kind of chasing Kathleen around, where she's hiding, where he's doing the prep room for her dinner. That barn was actually sort of near the McCarty, where the McCarty house was. And we were down and we're looking around. Okay, he comes back, and it was just like in the movie. We were like, okay, he comes back. And she's gone. And then there's a pitchfork. It was right there. It was sitting there in the barn. And there was like, hey, what does he pick up a pitchfork? I was like, oh, that's what I want. It's like the prowler. What does he have a pitchfork? And the burning mask. So again, now he's a pitchfork. He can poke around and have baseballs. So we think maybe it's Bobby. And then, we do the pitchfork through the wall gag. And we throw it in the back of it. All this, but that pitchfork wasn't even planned. We knew we had to get her in the oven. And we knew he was going to chase her. And she was going to have to hide from him. But again, faith-based system, you just have to trust yourself. You're like, you know what? Between me and Jeff, we've seen every horror movie imaginable, especially from that era. We'll figure something out. And once we got in Milan, the DP, once we got the pitchfork, and Jeff was like, Jeff's a genius at this stuff. He's like, yeah, she can do the focus of the blood. And then it'll be like the Predator, when he thinks he's going to go for the Predator walks away. We should do the Predator gag with footprints leading, So Jeff just has a mind for that. Jeff's like, I think we need more stuff with Yulia. It's like she hears a noise. She's like, Dad, there's Boris, and he's got headphones on. He's listening to Russian opera. All those little things. You laugh because as soon as Boris shows up, I don't know why. We just started laughing. Even on set, we're like, Boris just made us laugh. As soon as the angry Russian dad. Boris was really funny.
Were there any kills that you wanted to pull off that didn't make it into the script or didn't make it into the film? Is there anything you're holding back for, dare I say, Thanksgiving Part 2?
Black Friday. Well, Thanksgiving to Black Friday, but now in the European release, because they don't have Thanksgiving, they're calling the movie Black Friday. So now I have to call this one Black Friday too, and then the European one Black Saturday. Maybe if we do. Maybe Bloody Sunday, they'll catch up or something. Cyber Monday, Terror Tuesday. But no, I think we really got to do what we wanted to do. Sometimes, look, you shoot everything, you try everything, and the audience tells you. We went farther in the Kathleen kill, and nobody laughed at and that's what I want to get to. The scene is building. It's someone being roasted in an oven who's gonna eat a turkey, and the scene is building to the thermometer. That should get a laugh. And that should be it's so stupid and ridiculous, but you kind of earned it, that the audience is gonna be like, you fucking done that whole cat and mouse, boom, pop. But it wasn't laughing. People, we went too far. And I don't mean it was more gory. People were just it somehow crossed over into real cruelty and not a fun way. So mean-spirited, yeah. And I don't think the movie, look, and I know that there's Last House on the Left, Wes Craven, and some of the crew was just spit on and out. I didn't want. That's not the vibe of this movie. It's not mean-spirited. It doesn't have that kind of rough look kind of thing. I wanted a movie that would be gory as fuck and insane, but also fun. I want no-go. That scared me, that grossed me out, that disturbed me, but it was a fucking fun ride. So you could just pull back. It's really like showing it to test audiences, which I used to think was like the worst process. I was totally against it. Thank God I did it, because I would have got my fucking head handed to me. What the fuck is that?
And then, how were the execs at Sony? Were they like, they were more gore, less gore? Were they like shocked by this?
Well, I think that, look, we had Nicole Brown, the TriStar, was our exec, and she was really great, and Nicole was always like pushing for, and they were like down with the kills if it was all tied to Thanksgiving. They're like, you know, oh, stick the corn holders in the ears. Like, oh, that's so sick. We love it. Yeah. That's great. Roaster and oven. Oh, that's so gross. Like, if I just said, you know, cut her in half with a chainsaw, it's like, well, why would he do that? But it's like, oh, he's got the thing, and then, you know, the decoy, and then the table saw at the last second. But they trust me. That's the truth. Is like, you know, at Spyglass, you know, we had Gary Barber and Chris Jones here, and everyone, like, they trust me. They know what they're signing up for. It's not like they're a surprise with me. And they read the script. And I'll always throw in more stuff. I always shoot more gore. But honestly, more gore doesn't make it better or scarier. It's like having, I swear to God, it's like making a pizza. I become obsessed with pizza making. If you have too much cheese, it gets too watery and it goes right through the dough, and you're trying to scrape it out, it's got a big hole, or you can have the wrong balance of ingredients and it doesn't taste as good. It's like adding more, but it doesn't make it better. And it sometimes makes it longer, and sometimes the audience just goes, or they sit there after a kill, and that's when you're like, oh, we're fucked. I mean, this movie was like 15 minutes longer, and I was like, I don't think a second of this movie can come out. And then I showed it to an audience. People were like, oh, it was alright. And I was like, what? Cut. And then the next audience, people were screaming and applauding. So that's where I really learned, you know, sort of reminded myself of how valuable it is to show your movie, what you think is perfect, to a bunch of strangers. They will tell you the fucking truth.
I think the other thing as well is, you know your audience as well, Eli.
Yeah.
And we're going to wrap this thing up, but I just want to say thank you for being a part of this, into this audience, because we've been hungry and thirsty to get your Thanksgiving for so very long. So, I mean,
just emailing, and thank you for your persistence and for pushing. And you know, it was a pleasure. Look, obviously, I love Beyond Fest. I love you guys. I wanted to be there, but you can see, like, up until last week, we had to figure out getting the Rick Hoffman tag in. They were like, can't you just finish this movie? I was like, no, I want the graffiti in the credits, and we gotta have this tag with Rick Hoffman where I don't yell cut. Because everybody likes to see Rick Hoffman get fucked with. He's always lit. Like, you can't not want to see Rick get fucked with. It's just like, you just see him standing there awkwardly when I go cut. He just fucking did the fingers and that. So, we need it. It's like a little reward. So, look, obviously you guys are the first ones to see it. So, the first impression is in your hands, literally. So when the embargo ends on the 14th at 8 o'clock, please, the first impression is what's going to make or break this movie. And obviously, I've spent 30 some odd years trying to make it. If you hate it, at least give us the opening weekend before you trash it. But please, the first impression that you guys do on social media is everything. It will literally determine the life of this being a franchise or a one-off. So I'd love to continue to do more, so I can't do it without your help. But this is a great screening. What a
so it feels like we come full circle. It should always be you on the stage with your movies. It's just a real honor and a pleasure. Thank you for everything that you've done for your entire career, and then especially tonight. This is a barnstormer, Eli. It feels like it's an Eli Roth movie that no one else can make. So,
trust me, I had such a great time making this that if this movie can do well enough at the box office, I'd be perfectly. I was like, fuck everything else. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I doing anything else? Like, it's for real. It's anything else. It was fun doing the other stuff. Love sharks. I keep doing that. But, this is where I belong.
So you know what to do. Thursday, 14th, 8 p.m. Take to your socials, take to your Twitters. Get on there. Tell the world have fun with Thanksgiving. There's also a crew outside in the lobby. Go talk to them. Tell them how much
it's
you
for
love
the
this
commercials. So you can, let's see your acting. Let's see your audition. Fucking go live.
Yeah, you
might. Exactly, right? I'll be watching all those videos. You're a bastard.
Ladies and gentlemen,